Welcome to the Good Place Marionville podcast, dedicated to highlighting the good right here in Marionville. Sometimes we have people that we meet that we end up having several points of contact in common, and it can be so much fun. And today's guest is no exception for me. So Sher Wetzel and her husband, Jim, are members of the same church that Jim and I go to. In fact, we actually officially publicly became members on the same Sunday, Sher. I don't know if you remember that, but you were like, oh, this is happening today. But that happened on the same day. We both love music. We both love baking and flowers. We were both newer to Marionville as a community. And there's so many things, in addition to our husbands both being named Jim. So, that's just the surface of what we're going to talk about today. But we work together in our worship ministry at church, and you are the vice president of Applefest. So that is really going to be a lot of the focus for today. So Sher, welcome to the Good Place Marionville podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm glad to have you here. So let's start with letting the community get to know you personally. What brought you and Jim to Marionville?
Well, the big draw was some grandchildren.
That helps a lot.
And since we've been here, 2 more were born. So there's 3 grandchildren here. And
Awesome.
they live in Billings. So that was the first thing that drew us here.
And how long ago was that you guys
It was
moved here?
2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your career path and then what ended up getting you said enough of the career,
Yeah.
right?
So before we moved, we were both working in senior living.
And what state were you in?
We were in Oregon.
Okay.
And we actually met at work.
And where you guys were both working
we were
in
both
a senior
living facility. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was doing activity director job, which is all the fun stuff.
Yes.
And Jim was doing maintenance director, which is all the not fun stuff.
Well, that's probably a matter of perspective,
Yes.
right? He probably liked fixing things for
Right.
sure. So what then made you guys decide to
Yeah,
leave
so
that?
then he was looking to retire, and we were looking for places that we could live very inexpensively compared to where we were on the West Coast. So that was another draw besides my daughter and her family here.
Very much so.
Yeah.
If you're going to make a move, make it a big one, right?
Make it worthwhile. It costs a lot to move.
It sure does. It sure does. So and before Oregon, you were not even in the U.S., right?
Correct. I grew up in Canada.
Okay.
I was born and raised there, and I moved to the States in 2001.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. So when you moved to Marionville, what did you do to get involved in the community and get to know other people? What kind of did you have an approach?
Yes, Facebook. So literally we moved. It took us a few months to move here between September and December of 2021.
Because it's that many miles.
It's a long way, and we made several trips
Yes.
with several vehicles, we'll put it that way.
Yes.
Anyways, so I saw on Facebook in the middle of December, people were posting things about Applefest. I had no idea what it was, had never been to it. And I saw people posting a need for piano music at the First Baptist Church. And both of those things were like, oh, that sounds interesting. And with being an activity director, I have a lot of experience doing events and planning and organizing that sort of thing, behind the scenes stuff and throwing events. So I replied to both those things. Pam literally put out a call like, we need help.
Uh-huh.
And literally by January of 2022, I was in the committee and attending meetings, and this will be my 4th Applefest
That's
that I've been
awesome.
helping with. Yeah.
That is awesome. Facebook is a great way to get to know what's happening in the community, to get to know other people, what's going on. A lot of people struggle with that because it's maybe they don't love Facebook, but I look at it as a local newspaper. Like if you wanted to know what's going on and we had a newspaper, you would order the newspaper, right? And we do have the Aurora Advertiser, and we're grateful for that. But it doesn't give you all the details about, the community garden getting started or the curb appeal award or whatever. So you need to subscribe to the things that are happening to learn what's happening here. So that's kind of how I look at, Facebook. It's like that, if that's going to be a news source, and that's why Good Place Marionville podcast has a Facebook page out there, that is, a way to find out what's happening around. And I love that you just kind of jumped right in and said, this is how I want to get involved. So tell us a little bit more then. I know it didn't take long for you to become an officer, did it?
I think a year. The first year I kind of sat back and observed and watched, and I had no idea what all involved
Right.
going on, because there's so much more than just the one festival in September. There's so many other things throughout the year that have to happen to get there.
Right.
I had no
Right.
idea. So,
Well, and you had never even, like you said, been to an Applefest. You're like, I'm trusting this is actually going to happen.
right.
So I did very similar. The first year did a lot of observing and just, giving ideas and saying, how can we, organize something or whatever it might be, but not own anything,
Kind of
per
look for
se.
where there's a need.
Yeah.
And you try to fill the need with the gifts and abilities that you have.
Right.
That you can share your time in doing.
Right. So tell us about your current roles that you have in the Applefest committee.
So I'm technically the vice president, which means nothing can happen to you.
You have to go in the bunker if I'm out in.
Right.
No, just kidding.
I don't even want to run
that. It's not that critical of a.
I don't even want to run a meeting. I like to do behind the scenes stuff. But anyway, so fundraising is a main role I've taken on, and also social media is another role I've taken on. I'm big into photography. I like taking pictures. I post all the time on Facebook.
Yes.
And so that was just a natural position for me to help fill.
Right. So let's talk first about the fundraising, because why is it even, a lot of people may not understand, why does Applefest need to fundraise if we, for a festival? How does that work?
So Applefest is free. People can come and attend for free. There's no charge to get in.
Right.
There's no charge for the carnival stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have to fundraise, or the entertainment. You're not getting charged to go watch live entertainment.
Right.
So we're fundraising to pay people to do live entertainment. We're fundraising to pay for the carnival rides, that sort of thing.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So let's, take that a little bit further then. So people might say, well, but the vendors have to pay. And, the vendors do pay a minimal fee to have a space. Right. It is not very much. But it does all contribute to the running of the festival. We also have an ad book that people can put advertisements in, and that lasts on the bookshelf all year long for people as a resource and knowing who the people are that support. And again, they pay to be in that. But all of those things are ways to help fund the things we do for free. And so we currently actually, this is so divine because we actually have a couple of fundraising events this week that we want to make sure that the community knows about. So what do we have coming up?
So the big one is on Thursday night at Alice Irene's restaurant. And this will be, I think, our third or fourth time doing it, where they offer to host a dinner buffet at the restaurant from 5 p.m. till 8 p.m. And anyone can come. Please call ahead and try to reserve a spot.
Yes.
I know.
I'll put the phone number in the show notes for everybody so you have it ready and accessible. I texted Amanda ahead of time asking her how we were doing. Maybe I didn't get an answer because I kind of caught, it was quick right before we start recording. Do you know how we're doing with reservations?
Not lately, I don't know.
Okay.
From last week, I know there was just a few. So we pushed it again on Facebook, hoping for more people to reserve. And in years past, sometimes it's last minute. People will be like, oh, the weather's good today. I'm going to go eat at Alice Irene's, or I don't know, feel like cooking today. So I think I'll go to Alice Irene's. So and it's going to be a buffet. So it's all you can eat for the one price.
And so my whole family is coming. It's my mother-in-law's birthday.
Fun.
So we're bringing her for her birthday, going to enjoy the buffet. A couple things that maybe people don't realize with Alice Irene's is that they often, for special events, put things on the menu that they're not doing at other times. So, I think, what are some of the things they're offering?
I know they're having fish, and they're having ribs, and they're having their special chicken.
Yes, the lemon chicken.
Yes.
Right?
And then there's a new, I think it's apricot thyme pork loin.
Yes.
Is the other one.
Excellent.
Yes.
And desserts.
Oh, yeah. And sides.
Yeah.
And
well, yeah. Oh, yeah. There will be sides and dinner rolls.
Always the dinner rolls.
So, some fabulous food for a set price of the buffet. And then all the tips are going to Applefest. So Applefest committee members are doing the serving. And then a portion of the proceeds, I believe, is also then going to Applefest. So come, be generous, be kind to the wait staff because they only do this once a year, right? But it is a fun time. I love going because we've gone there several times to eat during the fundraising buffets. It's such a community time because everybody that comes is, either just, regulars in town wanting to support Applefest, look for a good reason to have a buffet at Alice Irene's, all of the above, right? So it just ends up being a really good community time as well.
It's a good opportunity for those folks who are working all the time and can't make it to breakfast or lunch because
Yes.
they're not always open for dinner.
True. Exactly. And you can plan. You don't have to cook on Thursday night. Let's all come and have a party. So I know we set a reservation. We're the first seating right at 5:00. Like, don't have to second guess anything. But we have another event later this week, also a fundraiser. Tell us about that.
On Saturday at the Assembly of God Church, they have their annual Rummage sale.
Okay.
And in the past, they've allowed me to set up a booth outside by the parking lot with like a tent and a table, and I have a little food thing going on.
Okay.
In the past, I did walking tacos. I actually haven't decided what I'm doing yet. I was kind of looking at the weather and trying to figure out what would be best. So
Yes.
if you got any suggestions, go on our page on Facebook and send me a message.
Awesome.
What should I do for a food fundraiser on Saturday afternoon?
So they have their rummage sale every
Friday and Saturday.
and it's inside.
Inside, but I'll be outside.
Okay.
The weather looks like it's going to be good.
We're hoping for that.
So I'll be there for lunchtime on Saturday.
Lunchtime on Saturday. So good time for you all to get out, go check out the rummage sale, come get some food, whatever Cher decides. She might even tell us on Facebook. We don't know. Or it might be a surprise. But let me just guarantee you guys, it's going to be good. If you are friends with Cher on Facebook, you know that she is great in the kitchen. She shares lots of yummy things.
There might even be some white squirrel cookies.
There you go. Okay, so let's talk about the white squirrel cookies for a little bit.
I got a bag in my freezer just waiting to serve up.
We have another fundraiser that's kind of out there, and I don't know if you're planning on having them there on Saturday, but
Or Thursday.
yes, Thursday and Saturday. Let's just do that, right?
So one of the members of the Applefest committee, from the sticker studio, she put logos on some tumblers.
Yes.
So it's all Marionville Comet logos. And there's two colors. There's black and there's white. And I did post about it on Facebook, but I didn't really push it a lot because I thought, well, we'll have more people come to Applefest. I'll sell it there.
Right.
Anyway, the tumblers are huge.
Yes.
And I was going to fill them with cookies, apple snacks. I would do freeze-dried stuff, whatever. So you can pick what you want in your tumbler. So maybe I'll bring those to Thursday night or Saturday afternoon.
That's a great idea.
Outside.
So, and again, this is Comet gear, basically. Right. So anybody in Marionville, would love to have it. And it's a great fundraiser, great way to help fund the carnival, which is actually a little different this year, too. Maybe we should talk about that a little bit. Most people think of carnival. We think of, big metal rides that are set up and go up in the air and all that kind of stuff. Well, this year, we have created a new committee called the Fun Squad, and they have taken the carnival to a whole new level. And this year, we are going to be all inflatables. And this is pretty exciting because it's what the kids want. So we have several moms on the committee that really have a pulse for what the kids are wanting and what moms want the kids to be engaged in. And they really decided that this was a good way to go. So we're trying it out. Everything will be inflatables. There's stuff for every age. There's going to be entertainment that is kids stage entertainment. So there's going to be just a lot of, like I said, the Fun Squad putting together different ways to entertain the kids because it is really all about the kids. Yes, adults, we like all the food. We like all the entertainment. We like the fireworks. We like the vendors. We like spending money and seeing community. But this is where the kids create memories. And so we're really excited about that. So the tumbler sale is just one more way to raise some funds and help advance the Applefest, because everything that comes in is to help support and raise, awareness and things like that. So talking about awareness, let's talk about social media for a little bit. How do you really spread the word about the things that are happening for Applefest?
So recently, a younger person has joined the committee, and she's using stuff like ChatGPT to write social media now. I'm like, wow, that's so cool. So what I'm doing now is I'm just giving her suggestions on what we should post and when we should post it, and then she's putting it out there.
Yes.
And it's a wonderful tool.
That's awesome.
If you use it properly.
Yes.
So social media, we try to keep it active all year long because we don't want to wait till just a couple weeks before the festival and be
Right.
like, hey, we're having a festival.
Right.
So we do try to post all through the year, but there are things to talk about all year. Besides fundraising, we had the essay contest, the art contest. We do the Christmas stuff and the elves. Like there's so much going on all year long.
There is.
Yeah.
There is. So what is your personal favorite part about Applefest?
Probably the food.
Okay.
The food and the entertainment, I would say.
So 2024, did you have a favorite food item?
I was not at
Oh, you
2024.
weren't. That's right. So you had to live vicariously
I
through
did.
everybody else.
I was so sad to
And
miss.
we missed you greatly. Well, I know there's going to be some new vendors this
Yeah.
year, and our goal is to actually list the vendors on the website
Right.
so that people can get a sneak peek and see who's going to be there. And kind of, if you're like me, I kind of need to think of ahead of time, like, okay,
Plan it out.
I'm going to have a barbecue sandwich on Friday night, and then on Saturday, maybe I'll have some, taco or caramel apples.
Oh, it's my favorite. I love caramel apples.
They're wonderful. So all those things, we're going to try to list them out. We do have a new website. It's the same website, but just different content on there, and it's fresh. And we'll be adding vendors and things like that as we get more solidified.
Yeah, we talked about doing a Friday feature of a vendor every week leading up to Applefest and like highlighting one and
Yeah.
getting to know them better.
So make sure you follow the Facebook page, which I'll put that link in the show notes as well. But it's just Marionville Applefest, a very easy way to find it on Facebook. There is an event for the actual September 19th and 20th of 2025. So if you're also on Facebook, you can say you're going to that event. And when you post in there, you'll get a notification for that as well. Tell us some good news about this year's Applefest. What can you think of that you think of as good news?
I think it's super exciting that younger people are joining the committee and they're coming with all these ideas and they have kids in the age group that are going to attend.
Right.
And I just love their energy and all the new ideas they're coming up with. I mean, I don't want to spill too many beans because I don't know what all exactly is going to come to fruition.
Yes. A lot of dreaming has happened,
so many
right?
ideas, so many ideas. So I think that's really exciting to have a different generation joining us.
Well, and speak to that just a little bit more before we go about other people that might be watching this and going, well, maybe I want to get involved. Is it too late? Am I too young? Am I too old? Am I too busy? Am I not busy enough? Like, talk to everybody and invite them to join us.
So literally, we were brand new in this town.
Yeah.
We'd been here less than a month. And I went to my first Applefest meeting, and it was being held in the Hangout at that time.
Okay. Yep.
It was a little musty in there. And, it was a great way to meet people in the new place where I lived. It was a great way to make friends. And these are like wonderful people
Yeah.
who now we have cherished friends.
Yeah.
And even if you don't think you have a skill or a gift or ability that we could use at Applefest, we can find something for you to do.
Yes.
Even if
Yes.
it's bagging up candy in a bag and tying a ribbon on it. Like, there's got to be something you can do to help us because we just love having more people come out and help.
Such a great point, and I do want to invite you all to get involved. We would love to grow the committee. There is no limit to how many people can help because it does take many hands. I will list a few things for you. There's the coordination of the parade. There's the beauty pageant. There's the kids zone. There's the fun squad. There is advertising. There is all the vendors. There is the entertainment, the stuff happening on stage as far as contests. Remember, get ready. There is the apple dessert contest, like apple pies and other things that you can enter. Apple pie eating contests, dress up contests, beauty for the golden delicious age group, which, that's just always a lot of fun. I mean, there's security, there is selling T-shirts. What did you say?
Maintenance. Like behind the scenes
yes.
stuff.
There is so much.
And just tables.
And just touching base with all the vendors during the event and inviting them back to come again. There's so much that we could use your willing hands and able bodies
Energy.
and energy. Even if you feel like you don't have the stamina for it, we know we can find a way to utilize you and have you be a part because it is a lot of fun and we have really developed some great friendships. And that's what makes community is working together. And so I love that we have this opportunity to invite all of you to come and be a part of it. We have a contact us form on our website. You can go there and fill it out or simply reach out, put a message at the bottom of this podcast when you're listening and say, hey, I'd like more information. We'll get a hold of you. We actually have a meeting tonight, which is unusual, but it's because we had the bad storms hitting right at the time of our meeting last week. So grateful for everybody's flexibility. So anything else, Cher, that you want the community to know about you or about Applefest before we move on to some other news?
I think it's just a great opportunity for everybody to, even if you're not participating in the committee, just come to Applefest and attend it.
Yeah.
And just have fun.
Oh,
Meet your neighbors and, just have a good time.
that's a really great idea. And you can, tell your family, hey, we're going to all go at this time. Remember, we do have the church, community church service on Thursday night to kick it off. And then it will be the Friday and the Saturday. It'll be so much fun. And we end it with fireworks by Clayton's Pyrotechnics.
Yep.
And it is fabulous. Clayton does such a great job with that. And we're so grateful for his generosity. So you can learn more at marionvilleapplefest.com. Go to the Applefest Facebook page. Stay in touch. There's just so much. Cher, thank you so much for sharing all of that and just sitting down with me today. This episode of the Good Place Marionville podcast is sponsored by the Bank of Billings. The Bank of Billings core values are customer first, passion for service, and commitment to community. Their core values have enabled them to be in business since 1889. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender. Under first responder news, I just want to remind our community that you are needed, you are wanted, and you have a place with the first responders getting involved, especially as a volunteer firefighter. So you can send me a message or contact Chris Bowling off of the city website as well to learn more about what's involved there. But it takes many hands to make sure that our community has a good number of responders available at any given time. In business news, I just want to highlight next week, we're releasing a very special episode with Carol Bangle and other members of her family. They had Bangles Sundry right here in this same building as Central Place. And we'll discuss several local businesses that were a part of Marionville in decades past. And in 2 weeks, we are interviewing Wes Murphy with Murphy's Orchard. And Murphy's Orchard in this season now is going to be they already are offering more produce, and there's other food items coming that are out of their normal inventory that they're bringing in because we don't have a grocery store. So we want to really make sure that we are utilizing Murphy's Apple Orchard, their store, for all of your needs here locally so that we can support that and make that a good decision on their part, that we show them how much we appreciate it and have that convenience. And speaking of produce around town, I just want to say the community garden is literally starting to grow. The plants are in, and Amber has done such a great job. You can follow the signs that have been made at the end of Lyon and Mill to check out the garden for yourself. It's exciting to see the community come together and grow food and grow relationships at the same time. Thank you, Sher Wetzel, for being our guest today and representing the Applefest Committee. This year, Applefest is September 19th and 20th. Thank you also to the Bank of Billings for sponsoring today's podcast. Consider becoming a sponsor. You can contact us at goodplacemarionville@hotmail.com. You can use that same email address to report good news that is happening around you. If you enjoy this podcast, please remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel and click the bell to be notified when each episode releases. Thank you for joining us for the Good Place Marionville podcast. Keep your eyes out for the good, and together we can celebrate Marionville.